Hello listeners, and welcome to another week on Chasm Converses. My guest this week is Gracie Mack from the Brisbane-based band Menajerie. We talk about her journey through music, growing up in Sydney, getting a degree in jazz and working in musical theatre, moving overseas to London and then returning to Brisbane where she became a part of Menajerie. And we talk about their newest single, Holding Pattern, which you're hearing right now. Join us and let's get conversing.
Something with a lot of
Chasm Converses. Gracie Mack, welcome to Chasm Converses.
Hello, thanks for having me.
It's so cool to meet you. Whereabouts are you joining me from today?
I'm in Menajerie in Brisbane.
Oh, wow, cool. I've been getting a lot of Brisbane recently.
Have you?
Yeah, I have. It's really cool. I think the last 2 or 3 guests that I have been from Brisbane, which has been really, really cool. I feel like I have to make a trek up there very soon to just see a bit more of Brisbane because it's a place that I haven't really dabbled much in, like when I did live back in Adelaide. So I feel like I need to do that.
Oh, true. Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I feel like I need to do that because it'd be a lot of fun going up there, especially because it's like, springtime now, which would be very, very nice. Anyway, I'd love to talk to you today a little bit about your music because obviously you are a vocalist in the band Menajerie, and you guys just released a new single recently as well, which is awesome, called Holding Pattern. We'll get to that a little bit later, but I'd love to start off by talking a little bit about yourself and your own sort of start in music. What was sort of the thing that got you into music? Like, was it sort of like an artist or a band or like a singer who got you involved in it?
Well, I think I was pretty lucky because my family's very musical. And
Really?
so, my mum's a piano player.
Oh, wonderful.
And and like her sisters and kind of my aunties and stuff were all music adjacent, but mum's career has been as a piano, like music teacher.
Wow.
I was just lucky from a young age to just be surrounded by music all the time.
Mm.
So kind of like it was never really a question to me. Like I've also coupled with opportunity. Like I was really lucky to go to performing arts schools and just kind of always have opportunities to make music. And so
Right.
it was never like a question to me of like if I would get into music more than just when I would start to take it more seriously.
Right, cool. So that would have been like really cool, I suppose, being like brought up and being exposed to all that kind of stuff from like within the family as you kind of grew up and all the rest of it. Did you learn to sing through doing that sort of stuff as well? Or like, did you learn instruments throughout the family as well?
Yeah, I play piano as well in the band as well. And I played other stuff, but I wouldn't say I played it now.
No?
Yeah. But yeah, like I've learned instruments over the years just because there's lots of music around me, but I would say that I play piano and sing, and everything else I could maybe play a nursery rhyme on. It was really great. It was like lots of just like inspiration a lot around of like all these cool things to learn.
Yeah, absolutely. So like what kind of artists, I guess, sort of influenced you and that sort of stuff growing up? Did you have a lot of that sort of influence as well as obviously the family influence too?
Yeah, it was pretty varied. Like I have really strong memories of like mum introduced me to a lot of piano player singers, like Joe Cocker played a lot in our house,
Mm-hmm.
and Billy Joel, and like she introduced me to a lot of jazz as well. A lot of like
Yes.
piano-based jazz. She was quite biased, I guess.
Oh, right, cool.
Like Thelonious Monk and Oscar Peterson.
Wow.
I remember like Pink Floyd was also a big one in our house. It's very, probably like kind of jazz world and a little bit of like progressive was the main influences when I was a kid.
Wow, okay, yeah, that sounds really cool.
And then also there was like Motown as well.
Oh,
as an
right.
offshoot. It was also, so it's a pretty eclectic mix.
Yeah,
which
jumping
is
absolute
really
bombs
cool.
there. Jumping great names there for sure. Hey, wow, that sounds really, really great.
Yeah.
No, that'd been so good to sort of like, learn about all that sort of stuff and have those influences around you as you were sort of progressing and all the rest of it. So like, when did you who sort of taught you how to sing? Because you have such a really nice voice, like very kind of like, strong and like refined and like it's so just, it carries so well. Like I listened to quite a few of the songs and stuff and I really, really love it. Who sort of taught you how to sing in that way?
It's definitely like I guess like I mentioned with all of those eclectic influences so young, like I feel like a very big collection of things in the way that I express musically. And so, yeah, there was definitely like I learned a lot of did a lot of choir singing when I was a kid from really young.
Yeah.
And I had lots of teachers throughout the years, and kind of was always really into jazz and soul, but would just kind of love singing anything. And as like the years went by and I went into more specific training, like I was trained at a jazz school here in Brisbane.
Oh, wow. Really?
And I have a degree in jazz. That's a real thing.
Really? A degree in jazz? Wow. That's incredible. I mean, you seem to be using it quite well. So, you know.
Yeah. I mean, started a local band.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think, so I have that jazz training, which I suppose maybe is the refined sound potentially. That's where that would come from. But also there's like some musical theatre training that I have as well, which is like
really
technical. And I just love lots of stuff.
Yeah, I can see that.
I can try to do it all.
Yeah, no, I honestly feel that exact same thing. I like doing heaps of different stuff as well. So like, I'd love to go into like, I mean, I'll start with the jazz school stuff because that sounds really sweet. Like, what sort of thing did they kind of teach you? Was it lots of kind of like, you know, diaphragm and breathing work and all that kind of stuff? Or did they teach you anything sort of like a bit different than what you might learn just as like a basic kind of singer?
Yeah, I think, so like the degrees of Bachelor of Music and Jazz Performance. And so the degree was like, I would call it like a crash course in jazz 101 kind of thing. It like gives you all of the foundational information, and you have your like separate private teachers for your own instruments, but most of the classes are ensemble.
Right. Okay.
And so there's a lot of like not particularly specific to your instrument and more just like specific to understanding jazz. So I learned a lot from my private teachers about the specifics of like tone and just phrasing and like the sound of jazz of like a modern jazz singer.
Yeah. Okay.
But then most of the course was just about like how to absorb and understand music in like a jazz context, basically.
Right. Okay. Cool. That sounds like we've been like, really good to learn all that sort of stuff and get the kind of the theory worked down and like the techniques and that kind of stuff. And so like bridging that into musical theatre, because obviously with musical theatre, you have to project so far to like everybody in the audience, depending on obviously how big the auditorium is that you're performing in and all that sort of thing. What's do you remember one of the shows that you did when you sort of first did sort of musical theatre?
Oh well, I've mostly done MD work, like musical director work for musical theatre.
Wow.
I did like a couple of shows when I was a teenager, but
cool, yeah.
really.
I think we all have. I did some too.
Yeah. I mean, I played like the lead in Miss Saigon, which is so problematic when I was 20.
Wow.
It's like so white, and everyone in the cast was super white. It was bad.
Oh wow.
But it was like, you know, I've been in a couple of shows, but nothing. It's more just the training that I had a couple of teachers that were specifically musical theatre.
Yeah, right.
When I was in high school, and so I got a lot of like vocal technique stuff, understanding the voice from that, which is cool.
Wow, that's so cool. So I guess when you sort of had like the, you know, heaps of that training and stuff behind you and you sort of did you sort of like start off doing like kind of solo stuff out in like the music scene, or did you sort of join a band straight away, or how did that sort of progress for you?
Yeah, how did that progress?
The hard-hitting questions here.
Yeah, I think I did a lot of solo stuff because I accompany myself, and so that was kind of an easy in to just try and quite a few duo projects as well, mostly with boyfriends that also played stuff. And so definitely like solo and duo was the kind of main I think, with just like starting to gig. Right,
okay.
And bands, like I've sort of been in bands throughout the years, but not in a like we're committed on this project all together kind of way, more as like a studio kind of session player.
Okay, radio, cool.
So, yeah. So it's not until like Menajerie really, I'm also in this other band, Brisbane band called Bill Buttons, that I've been like, you know, creating something together with a band, which is cool.
Yeah, of course. That's awesome. And I'd love to obviously go into Menajerie as well because, you know, as I said, you guys have started to release some good music and that sort of stuff as well. And there's 6 of you, which is like awesome.
Yeah,
like 6-piece band. So like we'll have to like kind of like let's sort of like delve into this a little bit. So how does everybody know each other in that respect?
Yeah, well, Brisbane is incredibly small in terms of the scene of music. So small. And so we all just kind of knew each other already.
Oh, really?
But
Wow.
5 of us actually all went to JMI, like the jazz school that I went to,
Oh, wow.
at different times.
Oh, different
But
time.
it's just kind of, like we all just like went through there at some point.
Right. That would have been so just
and then-
wow.
Yeah. Actually, one of them, the drummer, Bo, he and I went at the same time. But yeah, everyone else
good.
was on their own paths.
Right,
but it's just
okay.
like from all going kind of funneling through that uni, you end up playing together all the time or being at the same jam session or something.
Yeah,
So
right.
yeah, it's kind of just through the scene, but also specifically through this one school.
Yeah, right. That's so cool. Yeah, no joke. Because I guess they all sort of bring their own kind of musical elements, and obviously learning so many of the same things that you obviously learned at the jazz school as well. It makes you guys all just, I guess, mold together so well. The fact that you all are taught very similar things. That's a really great way to go about it. Hey.
Yeah, it's definitely because I didn't grow up in Brisbane, but I moved here to study jazz at this specific school just because I had friends that had gone there and I heard really great things.
Yeah.
And it definitely, like, I was nervous about moving to somewhere I had never lived before, but the like injection of having a uni crowd immediately was just so useful for any kind of social, like, or way of like hitting up in any kind of cultural scene going through uni. It was really, really good.
100%. Whereabouts did you grow up?
I grew up in Sydney.
Oh, right. Cool. Awesome. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
How was like sort of, I guess, if you could compare the two, like Sydney kind of compared to Brisbane, like were you in Sydney for very long before you went over to Brisbane?
Well, I've moved a lot of places in between actually, but
right.
I grew up in Sydney till I was about 18, and then moved to Victoria, like Melbourne kind of area.
Nice. I love Melbourne.
And then I went overseas for a while, and then came back. I lived in London for 6 months, which sucked. I hated it so much.
Oh my god. You're like almost living my life right now. I've been in London for 6 months now as well myself. Like,
right.
Yeah. Damn. Like, what was what did I mean, this is just personally now, but like, what was your thoughts on when you did move to London? Like, did you find a place straight away, or like, what did you try and do?
Yeah, well, like me and my partner at the time, we saved up heaps of money. Well, I'm going to have the best time in London, and we moved over, and we just like blew all of our money really quickly, and we're like immediately poor within like a month. And so like moved into this terrible hostel in Finsbury Park. And I was like I like found this job for £5 an hour washing people's hair. It sucked. I had we had a nice time for a month. It was really great.
Yeah.
But then for the next 5 months, it was just so hard. It was like I was excited to travel. I was only 20. And so I was really excited to travel, and it didn't feel foreign to me. I was like, this is like Sydney. Like everyone speaks English.
Yeah.
And it's like a dirty city.
Yeah.
Certainly prettier, a lot of the buildings, but
for sure.
Still, like it didn't have that experience that I wanted of feeling like I'm in a totally new foreign place.
Yeah. Well,
so I found myself being poor and bitter really quickly.
That's like the Londoners way that I'm slowly starting to sort of
maybe I was just like super in sync with the city.
yeah. After like when I first got here, you sort of see people walking around, and when I'm like, man, everyone looks so miserable over here. What's going on? You're just like just straight off the boat, like hell fresh, like, yeah, this is great. And then like 6 months in, you're like, oh man, I completely understand why you're like this now. Like, that's so crazy. Like, I mean, I'm honestly literally in the same boat. Like, just no money after like the first month or so of being like back here and all the rest of it. And it's just like, it's such a crazy sort of, even like this morning, literally as I woke up, my brain just sort of just said like, what are you doing here?
No, that's not good if you got your inner voice telling you.
I know, it's just it happens all the time, but it's so crazy. But I love that obviously I'm talking to somebody who's had like a very similar experience in that regard, and it's actually made my morning really great. So that's awesome. Thank you so much for thank you so much for sharing that. That's really cool. But no, I think it's 100% very true that like, when you're moving over somewhere, to move into a place where, you're instantly getting into, as you are, like university to study jazz, you're in like a big sort of like community with other students who are studying the same thing that you're studying. So making friends and all the rest of it, bonding with people is sort of something that you can jump into straight away, which is a really good way to go about it, I think. So that would have worked out so well to like, obviously build those relationships and obviously, strengthen your talents in your singing and all the rest of it. So then like, you guys sort of built the band all together after a certain period of time. How long have you guys been together for?
It's been about 2 years. It'll be 2 years in December since we had our first gig.
Wow, cool. Where was your first gig?
It was actually at our friend Lachlan's 30th birthday that he called Lockapalooza.
Oh,
Actually, the name changed. It was like any pun he could come up with his name, and
right.
our festival was like Lockford, Lockstock 99. It was like, what's that?
Wow.
But there wasn't any awfulness like Lockstock 99. But yeah, he had like on his like parents' property, he had a bunch of his favorite bands playing. That was our first gig, which is
that's
really
awesome.
fun.
I mean, even just having like those names for his own festival, that's a great idea. That's almost like I'm almost gonna like sort of save that in the back of my brain. But when I said that,
yeah, you should. It was great. If you have like parents that will allow you to just use their giant property as well, that also helps.
Yeah, if we have giant property as well, possibly, but we'll see one day maybe. I've got 2 years to get a massive property for my 30th birthday.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds so cool. But yeah, so I guess okay, so you've been together for that long. That's really good. It sounds like a pretty fun first. That's a pretty cool first like gig idea as well. Like to start off doing that sort of thing. Have you guys sort of have you kind of like toured very much around Brisbane or around Australia, or have you more so just sort of stayed put playing gigs in Brisbane?
Yeah, it's been mostly Brisbane. We did go and play a gig in Melbourne last year, which is really cool.
Oh, sweet, lovely.
Just to kind of like go there for the first time, just to kind of we just like booked it on a whim to start branching out and making more connections there. We kind of already have connections there because so many people from Brisbane moved to Melbourne.
Really?
Just like musicians, because it's such a cultural hub of Australia. And so like a bunch of Brisbaners, they study jazz maybe and they go, I'm sick of this tiny town, they moved to Melbourne.
Yeah.
And they're freezing, they're not equipped for it.
Yeah. I mean, that's true. Melbourne, I mean, even my band went to Melbourne quite a few times. I love going to Melbourne. It's so much fun. But that would have been really great for you as well. Good to obviously go back there as well and play shows in the place they used to live. So that'd been sweet. But do you know where you guys played, the venue?
It was really fun. Yeah, we played at the Gasometer Hotel.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I've been there. It's nice.
Yeah, the upstairs bar. Yeah.
Well, let's talk to you guys about your new single now because it's a really great single and it sounds so nice and just
Thank you. Yeah, we're really, really proud of it.
Yeah, I love like the sort of the jazzy funk element to it. I have a friend that I watched play and sing jazz for like a lot of the like back in the day when I was sort of getting myself into music as well. So whenever I hear that kind of style of music, it takes me back to that spot, but then it also gives me that really nice appreciation for that style of music as well. So it's something that I can really groove to and really get into, which I really kind of enjoy. But no, what was sort of like your kind of idea behind writing like this song, Holding Pattern?
Well, I had this long-term relationship end a few years ago, and I just like had this burst of songs that I wrote kind of all in one. Yeah. And Holding Pattern was one of them. Stuck was the other one, which was our prettiest single.
Yes.
There was a bunch of others, but we haven't recorded them yet. Yeah, we have so many songs actually. It's awesome, but it's just like it's hard to choose just to get things out there. It's like a little 100%. Hard to choose, but Holding Pattern felt really like a good choice because it's like probably one of my saltiest songs that I've ever written.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and just kind of like I suppose confrontational maybe. Out of the songs that I would normally write, it's maybe the most confrontational of like my frustration and feelings, and it was just a really useful release of like all the frustrations I was feeling right at the end of a relationship. You know that period in a relationship where it's the worst it'll ever be. Yeah.
I haven't personally been in like too many myself, but like I've dealt with like falling in love and all that sort of stuff as well, and all the sort of stuff that sort of comes from that and that sort of thing as well. But I guess that's what's really awesome about being a creative and being musical and being a songwriter with a band, because then you can sort of put that stuff down on paper and you can reword little bits and pieces, make it like your own sort of poetry, and then just sort of put it out, play it live, and that's like, it's like you sort of emoting that part of your life out to the world. And a lot of times they connect back to it, which is also really strong. Yeah, totally. It's it's a wonderful release. And I remember like after sitting a few days that I read all these songs in, I just felt so much better, so much freer after doing that. Yeah. No, I understand completely. It's such a great release for us musicians to be able to just like write stuff down and put it out and be like, huh.
Yeah,
It's like the weight lifts off the shoulders a bit. Hey.
yeah, for sure.
So cool. I also love the artwork that you guys did for that single. Like it's just like really cool, like the colors and stuff, like candles and all that stuff in the middle. Like, what was like
Yeah.
what was like your setup for getting like it that picturesque?
Yeah, so we have this friend who created that artwork and photographed it. She's an incredibly talented filmmaker friend of ours who she just like understands us so well. Like she just is one of those people that like every time I'll be like, oh, we're thinking of this thing for the band, and she just immediately will regurgitate way more eloquently what I was trying to think of.
Oh right,
So she's super talented and just understands, I think, us, what we're trying to like put out into the world. And we're very lucky to have her because she'll also happily do work for us.
Yeah.
So we just sent her. We had a bunch of AI generated art that Bo, our drummer, had generated of just like from source albums that we like, covers that we like, just to try and figure out what we might want for the artwork.
Yeah.
And we were looking for local artists around Brisbane to paint something, and just nothing was really clicking exactly right. We didn't really find anyone that we really felt like we gelled with. And then we remembered we have Kate in our lives. So we're like, oh, Kate, she's right there. She does a lot of still lifes just for fun. She'll create
cool.
at her house and paint scenery and then like just do a lot of like interesting still life. And so we just like sent her a bunch of the like AI generated stuff as source material, and she made that. She's so great.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like she just like created something herself out of all the sort of source that you sent her. That's so great. Especially like it's really good that we've got like, I mean, I don't know much about AI myself, but I really love the fact that we've kind of got that, because that's sort of like, it almost makes like reference photos. It makes a really good reference photo to give to an artist to be able to create something that you kind of want to put out there. If you can't really like, think too deeply about what it is or put it too much on paper yourself, you can be like, hey AI, can you sort of just like give me a hand here?
Yeah, and I think that's it, because at first Bo created those and they looked awesome. I was like, man, this is awesome art. Like it looks really great. And obviously it's just this mashed together of a bunch of different things that we said we like to the AI generator. But and we were sort of like torn, because a couple of friends were like, why don't you use that artwork, because it's so easy and they've generated it themselves.
Yeah.
But like the ethics of that just felt really gross.
Yeah.
And so it was just like so awesome to be able to use it for what it really should be used for, I think, which is like reference points and like sharing information really accurately. To then hire a creative that actually can use their expertise. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. I think it's a really good way kind of to go about it. And I'd love to talk about just Stuck as well, because I watched that video recently and I really liked it. I thought it was really, really cool. Like really nice kind of like, pool scenery, very dreamscapey.
Yeah, that was Kate too, actually. That's
Oh, really? Oh, wow. A woman of many trades. That's awesome.
Yeah.
No, you would have had did you have like a really great time sort of creating that idea and filming it in the spot that you were in? Yeah,
we so Mel, one of the vocalists in the band, and I used to live together at the time of that filming, and we had a pool at our house. This is just a rental, but we just, when we moved in there, we conceived of this idea of filming like a 70s hazy pool party there, and I mean, there's like, as you know, there's 6 people in the band, and then the crew that we had with Kate. Being able to find a day that everyone could do that was also perfect conditions to be able to shoot outside was actually really challenging. It was super annoying. And then our landlord decided they wanted to sell the house, and so we had this like deadline that we have to leave and we have to shoot this before we leave.
Damn,
which didn't end up happening. Like it didn't work. It was like cloudy the only day we could do it. And so luckily we have this like friend who's kind of a fan, I guess, who has this like bougie 70s pool at his like parents' mansion that was free. And that's what we ended up filming it. It was like we just put this call out of like, we have this whole idea and now the location's gone because we have to move. So it ended up working really well and being really wonderful. But so much like meticulous planning to make sure we could get it in one day, like low budget kind of.
That's so cool. I mean, just the fact that you were able to like, use like a massive mansion backyard of a pool. It's like, wow.
Yeah. Oh, it was amazing. I felt like we were in LA.
Yeah, that's what it looks like from the video. It's like, this is not something you get to do every day.
Yeah.
So like live it up for as long as you possibly can. I would have just made like, yeah, we'll just be here for the whole day. It's gonna be a whole day shoot. Like, you know.
It actually was a whole day shoot because of all the different scenes we had. Like we started like 5, went all the way till 7.
Yeah, yeah. Right.
I wish we could have like lounged in the pool. I did swim afterwards just to like get a little bit of playtime in.
Yeah. Get a little bit of a release after you finish like doing like the filming with the singing and all the rest of it. That sounds like such a great idea. Yeah. No, music videos are such a great a great thing to do because obviously it show classes yourself to the people and lets you, you know, just create something that can accompany your song. But it's weird because even like when I was doing music videos back with my band, like there's always just little things that come into it that just make it so hard to actually do it. And obviously in your case, it's like, you know, the landlord selling his house. We have to find another place to go to. At one of mine, we had like a bird, like we had like a bird fly into like this power box and cut off the power to the street. So we couldn't, so all the street lost its power completely. So we had to like rethink our entire concept of what we wanted to do. And it's just like,
it's like an act of God that's like, should we make this?
I know. It was because they had like the people already there, ready to go as well. And then
that's
no,
awful.
I'm gonna say no. This is not gonna happen now. We're like, what the fuck? Why does this keep happening to us? This is so strange. But I mean, it all works in mysterious ways, especially in the music world. I'd love to finish off just by asking a question that I asked quite a few people. Because obviously, you know, we ourselves are fans of music and of artists who influence us and who inspire us to make the art that we do. Have you seen like your kind of like your own favorite artist, your own inspiration artist, like live or at a show, or have you seen like, you know, a band or an artist at a show recently that you just were absolutely captivated by?
Yeah, what have I been to recently? Like I'm quite a big fan of Kimbra, the New Zealand artist.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I've seen her live, and that was really cool. It was a few years ago though. And I think I used to listen to her way more, so maybe she's not as much of an influence now, but certainly a few years ago. I think like recently, locally, I went and saw this album launch of a local vocalist, Hannah Macklin.
Okay.
That was really awesome. It was just like all local bands, but just like such high caliber, beautiful music. I think that like I could name a lot of like favorite influences, but I just haven't seen many of them live, unfortunately, that are like, you know, there's people like Erykah Badu or something that I don't even know if she's ever come to Australia.
Yeah. Wow.
Maybe she has, but I certainly didn't know about it.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely.
But yeah, like there's a bunch of artists that I idolize, but I've never seen them. But in terms of like, I'm also very inspired by like the local scene. And so, yeah, there's like a lot of local bands that I think just have like such amazing, inspiring music. And that's a really cool thing about Brisbane actually that I really love. Yeah,
100%. That's awesome. I mean, it's so great when you get to see a local band play, and like as you say, you can see local bands play so often in like the city that you live in and that sort of thing. Because some of them, as you say, they just absolutely captivate you and put on such an amazing show, and you're just like, I will remember you guys, and you become a fan, and that helps them grow. So it's a really nice community where you give and you give to each other, and you just lift each other up.
Yeah, totally. And it's like Brisbane's so small. Like I said before, it's like 2 of our members, Andrew and Lee, are both in this other band that's one of my favorite bands as well. Like it's like quite incestuous for the amount of people that are in the same band.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean that happens a lot in Adelaide as well. I mean the drummer in my band's in like 4 other bands technically. So like a drummer's in Adelaide apparently.
It's like it's like the drummer plight though, isn't it?
Yeah. Just skipping from one to the other. So crazy. Well, Gracie, this has been so awesome to chat with you about all this sort of stuff. You know, you've had such an awesome, an awesome music life with everything that you've talked about. It's been so great to talk to you. Listen to Menajerie and listen to their brand new single, Holding Pattern, because it's really great. It's such a great song to listen to. You've created a really good song here. Thank you very much for joining me.
Yeah, thanks, Caden. Nice to meet you.
Thank you so much for tuning into the episode this week. I hope you enjoyed the conversation with myself and Gracie. Do check out her new song with Menajerie, Holding Pattern, available to stream wherever you listen to your music, and watch the music video for Stuck on YouTube. There are links in the description of this episode. Please leave a rating and or review for the show wherever you listen to your podcasts, and I'll see you next week for a new episode with a new guest here on Chasm Converses.